Good Friday morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. From the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by the Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Joe Everett. Well, currently 50 degrees outside here at the farm this morning. Yesterday on our farm, we were able to start out running corn yesterday and then switching over to soybeans in the afternoon. And I will say it was great to finally see that soybeans picked up some moisture. We started out running around 15% and ended the day around 13%. Now let's check in with Dale Minyo as he has an update from this week's Feeding Farmers.
Joining me is Mike Steckschulte. We're just north of Lima, still in Allen County, and week number 2 winner of Feeding Farmers in the Field. His son Logan, I think, made the nomination this year.
Yes,
Mike's shaking his head yes. Tell us, first of all, the farm, what was it like this year? We did a little corn harvest, and it looks like the ears are pretty well filled out, but that may not explain the whole season.
Well, we started middle April. We had a little bit in, then we were finished up middle May. Then it ended up a pretty decent season. First rainfall, we could have used a little more in the end of August, beginning of September, but not terrible. It could have been a lot worse.
Early on, you've got some beans harvested. How do they look? And will you be putting in cover crops behind that?
Yep, beans were actually pretty decent our first field that we ran. So we will be doing some cover crop and some corn stalks. We're going to be working on some of that, some variable rate stuff through Logan's schooling and everything. So
yeah, comment on it a little bit. Logan's 21 years old. He works on the farm. He also is a project working on looking at grid cover crops with nitrogen. And man, what a project to be able to do on your home farm.
It is pretty interesting. I'm learning myself on a lot of this stuff, the variable rate and all the GPS stuff. It's interesting. So we're catching on, I guess, a little bit on it. He's a little more advanced than me on it, so which is good.
He told me in a truck college a little more exciting, and we can see the direct application every day or even season by season to work on it.
Yeah, that's for sure. So it's more his project than mine, so I just help out with it.
You're along for the ride and hope some directions come with it. Wheat crop, you just got a few acres of beans off, but Logan mentioned maybe there's a chance you could get some wheat in later this week.
Yeah, we're hoping maybe Saturday. We're hoping to see. Hopefully we get some sun here the next couple of days. The hurricane slowed us down, that's for sure. Get some more beans off. We haven't ran too much yet, so hopefully get started.
And Mike, I'll tell the audience we are visiting with you on October 2nd, so they can put all that. Any wind damage in the area from the hurricane?
We didn't have much here. We were real lucky on any of that. Everything's still standing great. Everything looks good, really. We just need to get rolling.
We talk so much in rural America about mental health and stress. At any point did you feel that this is overwhelming, looking at the lower commodity prices this year, how Mother Nature was treating us? Anything in that big picture for you, or this is not that much different than many years you've already seen?
Oh, yeah, we're definitely a little more stressed on a few ends of that. You always got to watch your finances pretty close on the down years, so we've been through it before. You just got to work through it and plan a different attack a lot of times.
And it sounds like about everybody in the family, I don't know about your wife, but everybody in the family seems to have an off-farm job as well.
Yep, my other son, Caleb, he works for ODOT, and he's going to school at UNOH to be a diesel mechanic. Amy works at the USDA office and part-time, and I'm at the county, keeping busy.
There you go, and somehow it all works out. Everybody knows their part and gets it done. You've got a new grain system up here, a new dryer. Obviously, that's going to help you spread out delivery and maybe take advantage of different markets. Logan also said maybe the biggest asset will be we can spend more time getting the crop out of the field on a timely manner instead of sitting in line.
We couldn't dry near fast enough before, so now we're hopefully speeding that all up.
We're at Steckschulte Farms just outside of Lima in Allen County, week number 2 winners of Feeding Farmers in the Field.
Hey, thanks, Dale. Well, it looks like great weather ahead to continue with the harvest progress. We'll have a full forecast update for you after this.
Did you know soybeans' #1 customer is animal agriculture? That includes Ohio's pig farms. Soybeans provide a blend of protein and energy to keep Ohio pig farms growing. Nationally, Ohio ranks 7th in pork production, and those pigs consume 6.3 million metric tons of soybean meal. It takes a lot of soybeans to make that kind of bacon. Soybeans feeding the industry that feeds us. Brought to you by the Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Soybeans grown in Ohio and across the heartland are meeting the feedstock demand for clean fuels. Biodiesel is a clean-burning and reliable fuel that enhances engine life, power, and mileage. Plus, this high-performance fuel works in any diesel engine without modification. With biodiesel, we fuel the economy, do good for the environment, and support soybean farmers. Learn how using biodiesel can add value to every bushel of soybeans grown at soyohio.org.
Now let's take a look at your Friday weather and going into the weekend, brought to you by Seat Consultants. Simply better performance online at seatconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Sunny, warm, dry weather for most of the upcoming 10-day forecast window. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. Here's what's going on. No changes in the forecast. So what you're going to hear this morning is the same as what we've been talking about for the last several days. A sunny, warm, and dry finish to our weekend. We're looking at above normal temperatures, excellent evaporation, good dry down, no major impedance to harvest. If the ground is fit and your crop is fit, you're going to be able to go. We are going to be seeing a few clouds trying to come into northern parts of the state on Sunday, as there is an upper level weather system, or a significant weather system, trying to move through Wisconsin and Michigan through the Saturday night, Sunday time frame. So I think some cloud cover may get into northern parts of the state late Sunday afternoon, and we also have to allow for some pop-up showers in northeast Ohio and eastern Ohio, east central Ohio through Sunday late afternoon, evening, and into early overnight. I think we're looking at a quarter to half an inch mostly or less, but I can't wave the all-clear flag for all parts of Ohio. Central and western parts of the state just seeing some on-again, off-again clouds and should not delay harvest or interrupt harvest there. We're back to dry weather and full sunshine for everyone starting Monday the 7th. We are sunny, warm, and dry all the way through the following Sunday. I guess I shouldn't say warm right away, because I think Monday and early Tuesday will be a little bit chilly, and then we get the warmth right back. Easily good evaporation all the way through. So once again, wide open harvest window next week, and I think that goes easily into the week of the 14th. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Well, U.S. wheat production for the 2024 through the 2025 marketing year is estimated at 1.97 billion bushels, up 9% year to year, and the highest level since 2016 through 2017. The USDA says this stands in contrast to the long-term downward trend in U.S. wheat production, as resulted in declining acreage as farmers have switched to other crops like corn and soybeans. For the last 2 seasons, wheat acreage, as measured by area harvested, has risen. High wheat prices in fall of 2022 encouraged farmers to plan for sustainability, more wheat in 2023 through 2024. Despite the gains, a major drought in regions producing hard red winter wheat has negatively affected the harvestable volume of wheat. In the current marketing year, despite less acreage getting planted into wheat, more favorable weather is expected to boost the area harvested and yield compared to the previous season. Higher production is forecasted for hard red winter, hard red spring, and white classes of wheat. In other news, American Farm Bureau economist Danny Munch says the Eastern Gulf Coast dock worker strike is already having a trade impact, which could balloon for longer, and more than a dozen ports are shut down. Munch says the backlog of in- and outbound shipping containers is already piling up.
Containers that are there aren't being moved, and the ones that are on the ships waiting to be unloaded aren't being moved. So a 2 to 3 day strike would take over a week to clear. If it's over a week long, we're going to be into November until it's going to be able to be cleared. And then if it's 2 weeks long, it's going to take until January of next year to clear.
JP Morgan estimates the longshoremen strike over wages in port automation could cost the U.S. economy $4.5 billion a day. Farm Bureau's Munch says farmers could pay a hefty toll.
Over 80% of our poultry exports move through those ports, a lot of it through the port of Savannah. You have a significant volume of containerized soybeans, not a huge percent, 6% of our soybean exports leave those ports, mostly out of Norfolk. Meat products, 36% of our meat exports leave those ports, 30% of our dairy.
The Dock Workers Union, the ILA, says it will strike as long as needed to secure the wages and protections it seeks for its members. President Biden says he doesn't want to end the strike with his emergency powers, but wants the union and ports to settle their contract differences through collective bargaining. Munch says Farm Bureau policy supports the president using his powers under the Taft-Hartley Act to break up the strike for an 80-day cooling-off period. In other news, the University of Illinois studies the loss of U.S. farmland, dividing the country into 9 regions. FarmDoc says the land in farms declined in all 9 regions and was led by pasture land. The decline in pasture land was likely facilitated by the growth in livestock confinement operations. Planted croplands declined in all regions except the northern plains and the mid-south regions. Because acres differ notably between the regions, FarmDoc took a look at percentage changes. Between 1997 and 2022, the percentage decline was smaller in the northern plains, -4%, and highest in the Pacific region, negative 14%. Double-digit declines also occurred in the Rocky Mountains, Mid-South, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast. Pastureland had the largest declines in all regions except for the Southern Plains, where planted croplands had slightly bigger drop, which were negative 7 to negative 6%. The drop in pasturelands was especially pronounced at 30% or more in states east of the Mississippi River. In other news, a coalition of 11 Ohio agricultural groups are seeking legal intervention in response to a lawsuit filed by the Environmental Law and Policy Center against the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency on May 1, 2024. The lawsuit claims that the EPA's total maximum daily load limits on phosphorus in the Maumee watershed, which feeds into Lake Erie, are insufficient to meet water quality standards. ELPC argues for stricter limits on phosphorus used by livestock and crop farmers. In defense, the agricultural groups claim the lawsuit is based on non-scientific grounds and threatens farmers' livelihoods. Represented by organizations like the Ohio Farm Bureau, they filed a motion to intervene, urging policymakers to base decisions on science, not activism. To learn more, you can find this full article at ohioagnet.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back with the market analysis and your overnight markets after this.
Do you know where the kids are?
Yeah, they're just right over there.
A child dies in an agriculture-related accident every 3 days. Every day, at least 33 kids are injured. 60% of them were not working when they were injured. Let's make sure the next generation is safe. No children are safe before moving equipment. This message brought to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
It's now time for the Louis Dreyfus Grain Analysis, and that is brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished lower on Thursday, getting ready to finish the week now with all sorts of pressures trying to come into the marketplace. Markets were weaker by varying degrees through the day yesterday. Let's start with what we saw on the weather side. Solid prospect for rain in central and northern Argentina, along with a probable expansion in rainfall across the southern half of Brazil. That gave way to a little bit of a shedding of premium in meal and soybeans. Wheat and corn are overbought. Beans were doggone close to that, or at least bean meal was. Argentine meal was quoted yesterday about $47 a metric ton below U.S. origin for December delivery. You just can't compete with that. We needed to see these prices back up just a little bit. Export sales for the week ending Sep 26 were above prior trade expectations. Corn 66 million bushels versus 21 the previous week. Mexico, the sizable purchaser of corn. The pace of corn sales on a weekly basis has been broadly aligned with the U.S. position in the world marketplace. Wheat totals were up versus the prior week. For the respective marketing years, exporters have sold about 14% more corn and 23% more wheat year on year. So that's been a very nice little deal. However, soybeans, we're not really getting a whole lot done there. The interesting thing yesterday, honestly, was in the energy markets. Talk of Israel trying to bomb or at least attack Iranian oil infrastructure got the oil markets up big, over $3 a barrel higher through a good chunk, and that's probably going to go further. Watch for increases at the pump. We did not see anything else in the energy space to get too super excited about, but this geopolitical risk in the Middle East is going to be a story, I think, probably through the weekend and into next week very easily. I'm Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Now let's take a look at your overnight markets, brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Well, it looks like all red in Chicago. Let's start off with December corn, $4.26 1/4, down 2. March corn, $4.43 3/4, down 2 1/4. November soybeans, $10.45 3/4, down 1/4. January soybeans, $10.64 1/4, down 1/4. December wheat, $6.50, down 3. Looking at livestock from yesterday's close, October live cattle 186, down $1.42. December live cattle 186.40, down $1.30. October lean hogs 84.17, down 50 cents. December lean hogs 76.40, down 35 cents. November feeder cattle 248.12, down 42 cents, and January feeder cattle 242.55, up 47 cents. November class 3 milk 21.84, up 1 cent. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Joe Everett, and you're listening to the Ohio AgNet.